and they're basically measuring my love for my own father.
The spotlight wasn't on her face that day. It was on the words that sent shockwaves around the world. In 2017, Paris Jackson, just 18 years old at the time, spoke aloud what millions had suspected but no one dared to confirm. Michael Jackson's death was no accident. With a chilling certainty, she declared that her father had been taken from this world intentionally. Paris revealed that, even when she was very young, Michael had warned her, "They're going to kill me one day." It wasn't just idle talk. He had written letters expressing his deep fear of an unseen plot closing in around him. But what Paris said next was what truly made the public's blood run cold. Could make everything collapse. And then came the question that has haunted the public and the press for years. What does Paris Jackson really know? And why has the Jackson family fought so hard to keep certain truths buried, perhaps forever? Paris Jackson's story began nearly 2 decades before she was even born. In the late 1970s, Michael Jackson, then a teenage boy on the verge of conquering the world, made a lighthearted yet fateful promise. During a warm conversation with his sister LaToya and close friend Kathy Hilton, the three agreed, "If any of us ever have a daughter, we will name her Paris." It seemed like a promise made for fun, but time would turn it into reality. On April 3rd, 1998, in what seemed like destiny's design, Paris was reportedly conceived in the romantic city of Paris itself, during Michael's time there with Debbie Rowe. Even Kathy Hilton kept her word, naming her own daughter Paris Hilton in 1981. This created an invisible thread connecting the lives of 2 young women, both born into powerful families, both destined to grow up under the bright and often unforgiving light of public attention. But behind the sweet story of friendship and romance, the circumstances of Paris Jackson's birth were clouded in controversy. Michael's marriage to Debbie Rowe in 1996 raised many eyebrows. Rumors swirled that it was not entirely a marriage of love, but more of an arrangement. According to speculation, Debbie had agreed to give Michael the children he longed for, and then step away, allowing him to raise them on his own. And from the very first moment of her life, Paris's world was never going to be ordinary. From the moment she was born, Paris Jackson lived in a world unlike any other child's. These weren't for play. They were shields Michael had put in place to protect them from flashing cameras, from the predatory gaze of the paparazzi, and from the dangers he believed were always lurking nearby. For young Paris, wearing a mask made little sense. She didn't understand why she couldn't freely smile in the sun, or feel the wind on her face when walking outside. But as she grew older, she realized her father was trying to shield them from becoming prey for the media, just as he himself had been hunted by it his entire life. Life at Neverland Ranch, a vast estate resembling an amusement park, seemed like a paradise for children, with a zoo, roller coasters. The image of those masked Jackson children remained etched in the public memory, a symbol of how hard Michael tried to give his children a chance at a normal life in a world that was anything but normal. And Macaulay Culkin, the Home Alone child star, who became a trusted friend Paris could confide in. These bonds weren't for show, they were lifelines, and a small circle of family and staff. There were no friends her own age, no playful laughter in a schoolyard. Her childhood resembled a fairy tale, but one locked behind towering walls. From the curious glances and whispered comments of Michael Jackson's daughter to standing in line for lunch was a brand new and often overwhelming experience. Paris described it as scary. She said, "Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. And I just want to say I love him so much." It was not rehearsed. It was the raw voice of a shattered heart. That moment silenced the world. The image of her collapsing into Aunt Janet's arms became a symbol of shared grief. And the moment Paris stepped out from her private world, straight into the heart of the media storm. Michael's mother was granted temporary guardianship, but that peace lasted only briefly before deep undercurrents within the Jackson family began to surface. Debbie Rowe, Paris's biological mother. Rumors swirled, and headlines exploded. A judge quickly appointed TJ, as temporary guardian. When Catherine returned, a new arrangement was made. The two would share guardianship. Paris began attending the prestigious Buckley School, a private Los Angeles institution with tuition near $30,000 per year. For a girl used to heavy protection, now having to face teasing, scrutiny, and the pressure to live up to the title of Michael Jackson's daughter was a grueling challenge. Paris tried to adapt, but the cracks left by an isolated childhood were widening. And then, Paris Jackson endured a severe emotional and mental trauma, something she never thought would happen to her. An older individual caused her deep harm, but Paris chose to keep it locked inside, telling no one, not her family, not her friends. This silence only deepened her feelings of isolation, eroding her trust in others, and leaving scars that would linger for years. Carrying the Jackson name meant living under an intense public spotlight, and that made Paris retreat even further. When pain found no healthy outlet, Paris engaged in an act of serious self-harm, using a kitchen knife on her wrist, combining it with an excessive dose of medication, and leaving behind a note, before things could go too far. But for Paris, it was a rough path, and she wasn't sure it truly made her feel safe. What most people didn't know was that 2013 was not the only time. Paris later revealed there were multiple moments when she engaged in self-harm, and no one, not even her family, realized it. She hid the marks, hid the pain, all while enduring bullying, long-term emotional struggles, and memories she couldn't erase. There was one detail Paris Jackson would never forget, and it sent a chill through her every time she thought about it. Paris knew how her father's life had ended due to issues related to medication. Realizing she was on the same path made her feel as though history was repeating itself. The weight of that thought became so heavy that, after some time, she decided to stop entirely, choosing instead to search for healthier ways to heal. In 2020, the documentary This Is Paris by Paris Hilton sent shockwaves through the public, exposing the hidden reality of certain private boarding institutions. That story struck a nerve with Paris Jackson, pushing her to finally speak out. For the first time, she revealed that, as a teenager, she had been sent to a behavior modification boarding school for nearly 2 years. What happened inside was far from the supportive environment her family had believed it to be. According to Paris, the school employed harsh disciplinary methods, and in some cases, rebrand under a new name and reopen in another location to avoid accountability, continuing their practices unchecked. Paris joined the Breaking Code Silence movement, calling for these facilities to be shut down permanently. Her testimony, alongside Paris Hilton's, brought national attention to the issue and pressured authorities to take action. Even years later, after years marked by pressure and emotional struggles, Paris Jackson stepped into a new chapter, one filled with flashing lights, red carpets, and designer gowns. In 2017, at just 19 years old, she signed a major contract with Calvin Klein, a multi-million-dollar deal that placed her among the most sought-after faces in fashion. Calvin Klein didn't just want Paris as a model. They wanted her as the embodiment of their brand, with platinum blonde hair, piercing eyes, and an energy that was both rebellious and vulnerable. Paris perfectly fit the bold image the company was known for. Creative director Raf Simons believed Paris was the face of the future. But with the spotlight came controversy. One campaign drew backlash when Calvin Klein photoshopped Paris's tattoos, sparking debates about authenticity in fashion. Rather than let it shake her, Paris quietly stayed true to her style, proving she could withstand the pressures of public scrutiny. That same year, she signed with IMG Models, the powerhouse agency behind Gisele Bündchen, Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, and Hailey Baldwin. Paris starred in a Chanel campaign shot near the Eiffel Tower, inspired by World War II fashion. Wearing a sheer blouse, white skirt, and sparkling earrings, she channeled a daring confidence that drew comparisons to Madonna in her early years. Whether praised or criticized, the campaign proved one thing: Paris had become impossible to ignore. Her career took her to Paris Fashion Week, the covers of Rolling Stone and CR Fashion Book, and partnerships with top designers. Over time, her style evolved, from punk and grunge in her teen years, with ripped band tees and dark hair, to a bohemian elegance with flowing dresses and earthy tones. Yet through every transformation, Paris kept her edge, with tattoos and a gaze that spoke volumes. From a young woman once hidden in the shadows, Paris had stepped fully into the world's gaze and owned it. If fashion brought Paris Jackson into the spotlight, acting was where she tested her limits. Paris had long said that acting was one of her early passions, and she wasted no time seeking opportunities. At 13, she joined the Project London's Bridge and the Three Keys, a strange, whimsical story about a girl hypnotized by a jellyfish queen. The film was never completed due to various factors, including Paris's personal struggles in 2013. But it showed her willingness to explore the craft. Her true breakthrough came in 2017 with a Fox series Star, where she played Rachel Wallace, a sharp, stylish social media expert, a persona entirely different from her own. The role came after she impressed director Lee Daniels during a screen test, and when the episode aired, audiences realized Paris wasn't just leaning on the Jackson name. She could act. In 2018, she appeared in Gringo alongside Charlize Theron, a small role, but one that expanded her range. However, the role demanded intense emotional scenes, and Paris delivered a performance that left audiences both disliking and admiring her character. A common thread in all her choices was clear. Music was never just a hobby or a career. It was part of her blood, a legacy running through her veins. But instead of merely inheriting the spotlight from her father, Paris wanted to use music to tell her own story. In 2018, at the historic rock venue Rainbow Bar and Grill on the Sunset Strip, Paris met Gabriel Glenn. Their connection quickly deepened, both emotionally and artistically. Together, they formed the indie folk band The Soundflowers, a name symbolizing their belief that beauty could bloom even in hard times. That June, Paris performed for the first time at Canyon Sessions, a charity event raising funds for cancer research, before a crowd that included many who had loved her father's music, drawing comparisons to Joni Mitchell. In 2020, Paris and Gabriel shared their journey in the Facebook Watch series Unfiltered, Paris Jackson and Gabriel Glenn, across 6 episodes. From that heartbreak came her debut solo single Let Down, released on October 30th, 2020, a haunting ballad accompanied by a music video where she appeared as a vintage bride with blood on her lips. Heartbreak and renewal. Though some critics found the tone of the album somber, few could deny that Wilted marked Paris Jackson's emergence as a true artist in her own right, singing her story. Absolutely, because all the arrows point to that. She was speaking about Michael Jackson's death. In her view, it was not an accident, but the result of a deliberate plan. He handed a friend 13 notes expressing that he felt in danger. Paris described seeking justice for her father as being like a chess game. Each move had to be deliberate and strategic. She left it to her cousin Taj Jackson to speak for the family. For Paris, keeping calm and focusing on the bigger picture mattered more than engaging in public battles. Some saw this as wisdom. Police were called to the scene. Though Paris later apologized for her behavior, she admitted she had been pushed to her limit, amid legal disputes and family tensions. For many, it might just be a number, but for Paris, it was proof of a conscious choice to live, a choice she once nearly lost. On Instagram, Paris referred to herself as PK, someone who used to be dependent on alcohol and substances, but now living a new chapter. She shared clips from her darkest days, a tired face, an empty gaze, alongside images from the present, radiant smiles with friends, moments holding sobriety chips marking each year of progress. Beside her was her fiancé, Justin Long, who had been by her side throughout the journey. Paris wrote that even the word gratitude wasn't enough to capture what she felt. She thanked sobriety for giving her back her music, her pets, and the ability to truly feel both joy and pain. "I can't believe I almost missed it all," she admitted. Her healing wasn't just physical, it was spiritual, and even tattooed the 7 chakras down her sternum as a daily reminder. She described herself as an empath, someone who feels the emotions of others deeply. To the Dangerous album cover on her arm, to the number 7, his lucky number, on her ear. To Paris, each tattoo is a piece of memory, a marker of love, loss, victory, or healing. And that it was a painful day for her as well. Instead of avoiding it, she chose to turn the performance into a quiet tribute to her father. Beyond her personal career, Paris remains committed to the humanitarian mission her father and her godmother, Elizabeth Taylor, championed. Since 2017, she has served as an ambassador for the Elizabeth Taylor AIDS Foundation. Paris traveled to Malawi to witness the foundation's work firsthand, raising funds and awareness. In 2023, she co-chaired the Ball to End AIDS, helping raise significant amounts while honoring figures like Magic and Cookie Johnson for their contributions. Paris is unafraid to use her voice to challenge stigma, promote empathy, and spread hope. To her fans, she is no longer just Michael Jackson's daughter, but a woman who has learned to rise from ruins, reach the light with her own hands, and live authentically. Her story is one woven with both darkness and light. From a childhood hidden behind masks, through years of battling emotional wounds and harmful coping mechanisms, to shining on runways, movie sets, and music stages, Paris has shown that a famous name does not guarantee happiness. Happiness comes from facing the truth, choosing healing, and daring to live as oneself. And perhaps, if Michael Jackson were still here, he would smile to see that the little girl he once held close has grown into a strong,